Hello everyone, this is Brad Wood. Wanted to give you a quick update on using JVM Args for your servers in CommandBox. So there's already a handful of built-in settings in CommandBox for some of the really common JVM Args, like your heap size. You can just set those directly, heap size, min heap size. But you can also just do ad hoc JVM Args. So any kind of custom tuning or things that you need to add, maybe adding special Java agents for monitoring software. And that is stored, as you're probably aware, in the server.json in the JVM object under args. So the old school way of doing this was specifying just a string. So the args are just one big string. And so that would usually look like this: server set jvm.args equals, and then inside of a string, we would have something like -foo, -bar. And if you had something like an argument that had a space in it, which is pretty common if you have like a Java agent and there's a space in the file system, you always had to wrap those in some sort of inner quotes, which could be a bit of a pain. And so the args would basically look like this. It would just be kind of one big string as far as the JSON was concerned. And then you always had to deal with quotes inside of your quotes. If you had, one chunk of text that you wanted to be a single argument. Otherwise, it would get broken up. And behind the scenes, this is always a bit messy. I always regretted doing it this way. CommandBox actually had to use its own command line parser to try to parse out this string into the individual arguments, because it's not just as easy as looking for spaces. We actually have to, deal with all the quoting rules and escaping stuff like that. So for quite a while now, you've been allowed to specify your JVM args as an array. So it looks like this. And one of the huge benefits of using an array, there's two big benefits in my opinion. The first one is it's easier to manage the arguments via the command line. And the second thing is you don't have to quote or escape anything, because each item in the array, no matter whether it's spaces or special characters or anything, each item in the array is a single JVM arg. So it really cleans up your server.json file. And you can manage them even though they're an array from the command line. So server set JVM args equals, and we can actually just use JSON notation, so we can say, okay, this set -foo, right? So it looks like that. So the nice thing about managing these is if we want to add an additional one, where previously you kind of just had to overwrite the entire string, we can set JVM args equal to a new array, and then we can use the append flag. And the append flag will just automatically add this to the existing items. And so if I want to add -foo bar, and I do need to wrap an extra set of quotes around here to satisfy my command line. So now, entirely from the command line, I can manage these arguments as -foo, -bar, -foo bar. And so I don't need to have any additional quotes around these arguments with a space in the name. Since I'm using the arrayed syntax, there's no ambiguity on which, how many arguments there are. And the other nice thing is you can even individually clear these when you're using the syntax. So if I wanted to do server clear JVM args index 2, then I can delete just that second argument. So I really like the array. It's a little bit easier to manage and to script things from the command line. And then if you ever want to kind of debug your arguments, I always recommend doing a console start. I'll do verbose so we keep the output up. I'm going to add dry run just so we don't actually start the server, because Java will totally scream at us if I actually try to use arguments called foo and foo bar. So right here in our output, we have the custom arguments I had. So -foo and -foo bar get added on. So you can still use the string, and I don't know if it'll ever remove that, just because it's a nice quick and dirty method. But I do recommend switching over to the array, just because it's a little bit easier to manage, and you don't have to worry about quotes and things like that. So I think it's a lot less work. Okay, that's it. Happy JVM arging. I'll see you guys later.